You ask me what I believe. Very well. I will tell you, though I warn you, it will not comfort you in the way you wish to be comforted. It will not pat you on the head and send you back to your drawing room satisfied. No. What I believe is terrible and beautiful in equal measure, and if you truly hear it, you will not sleep easily tonight. I believe this: you are guilty for everything, for everyone, not you alone, of course, all of us. Every one of us walking this cold earth, drawing breath, eating our bread and drinking our tea and telling ourselves we are decent people who mean no harm. We are all of us guilty, bound together in guilt as surely as we are bound together in blood. Does that frighten you? Good. It should. But stay with me, because on the other side of that fear is something I have been trying to say my entire life. I have been to the bottom of the world. I do not say this to impress you. I say it because you must understand from where I speak. I was 27 years old when they led me out into the courtyard at Semyonovsky Square. There was snow on the ground. A firing squad stood before me. I was given a white burial shroud to wear. The drums rolled. The first man in line was tied to the post, and then a messenger on horseback, a piece of paper, a commutation. They had never intended to shoot us. It was theater, psychological torture dressed as mercy, the Tsar's little joke. I spent the next 4 years in Siberia, in chains, among murderers and thieves and men so broken you could see the fractures in their eyes. And here is what I discovered in that frozen hell, which none of my fine, educated friends in Petersburg could have told me, because they had never been there. There is no such thing as a man who stands apart. I had believed before Siberia what my generation believed, that the enlightened man rises above the crowd, that the individual of refined sensibility is something separate from the peasant, the criminal, the drunk weeping in the gutter. We had read our Schiller and our French philosophers, and we believed in the magnificent sovereign self. What foolishness, what tragic, catastrophic foolishness. In that prison camp, stripped of every pretension, I saw the truth nakedly. We are knitted together. The suffering of the man beside me was not his alone. It lived in me. It breathed in me. It woke me at night, and my suffering lived in him. There was no wall between us. There never had been. We had only imagined the wall. In my novel, and the one I consider my greatest, the one I poured my remaining years into, I gave this truth to an old monk, Father Zosima, a humble man, not brilliant, not famous, not powerful, but awake in a way that the brilliant and the famous so rarely are. He told his students, there is only one means of salvation. Take yourself and make yourself responsible for all men's sins. As soon as you make yourself responsible in sincerity for everything and for everyone, you will see at once that this is really so, and that you are in fact to blame for everyone and for all things. Now, I can already hear your objection. I have heard it 1,000 times. You are leaning back, crossing your arms, preparing your rebuttal. You are saying to yourself, this is madness. Poetic madness, perhaps, but madness nonetheless. I did not commit my neighbor's crimes. I did not cause my brother's suffering. How can I be responsible for what I did not do? And I will answer you the way Zosima would answer you. You are asking the wrong question. You are thinking of responsibility the way a lawyer thinks of it, as a matter of cause and effect, of guilt assigned to the precise and verifiable action. Who struck the blow? Who signed the paper? Who gave the order? But that is not the responsibility I am speaking of. I am speaking of something older, something that lives beneath the law, beneath the court, beneath all our clever systems of accountability. I am speaking of the responsibility of love. Here is the disease of our age, and I do not think it has grown any smaller since my time. I suspect it has grown considerably larger. The disease is this: we have learned to live beside one another without being with one another. We pass each other on the street. We share cities, buildings, walls so thin you can hear a man weeping on the other side. And we have perfected the art of not hearing. We have made a science of indifference. We say, that man's suffering is the result of his own choices, that woman's poverty is the consequence of her own failures, that child's hunger is a social problem to be addressed by the proper institutions. And having said all this, having filed the suffering of our fellow man under the correct administrative category, we return to our tea. We sleep soundly. We tell ourselves we are civilized. But I tell you that sleep is the sleep of the dead. That soundness is not peace, it is numbness, and there is an enormous difference between the two, though a man can spend his entire life confusing one for the other. Look at my Ivan Karamazov. There is no finer intellect in all the pages I have written. He can dismantle God's creation with a single argument. He can make you weep with his catalogue of children's suffering. And he is right, mind you. Every word of his rebellion is logically airtight. And yet, Ivan is dying, not from illness, from isolation, from the cold, magnificent, self-sufficient prison of his own mind. He has made himself into an island. He observes humanity the way a naturalist observes beetles, with great precision and absolutely no love. And this, I tell you, is not freedom. This is the most exquisite form of hell a man can construct for himself, to understand everything and to be moved by nothing, to see the suffering of the world with perfect clarity and to feel beneath all your indignation a secret relief that it is theirs and not yours. Now look at his brother. Look at Alyosha. Here is a young man with no great philosophy, no demolishing arguments, no system of thought that would impress your professors. He simply loves, stupidly, stubbornly, without calculation. When his brother is in agony, Alyosha is there. When a dying boy is mocked by his schoolmates, Alyosha is there. When his father, a man who is ridiculous, shameful, a buffoon soaked in vice, when even this man needs a human presence, Alyosha does not look away and pretend he was born of a finer family. He shows up, again and again, without applause, without reward, without the satisfaction of being recognized for his goodness. He simply shows up. And this is what I mean by responsibility. Not the grand gesture, not the political program, not the manifesto nailed to the cathedral door, the quiet, daily, unglamorous decision to remain present to the suffering of the person before you. And here is the paradox that will unsettle you most, because it unsettles me too, and I have lived with it for 30 years. The man who takes on the sins of the world, who says, I bear some portion of this, I was not as awake as I could have been, I was not as generous, I turned away when I should have stayed, that man does not collapse under the weight. He becomes lighter. He becomes freer than any man who has carefully arranged his life to avoid all moral entanglement. Because the man who refuses responsibility is not free. He is enslaved to his own self-protection. Every stranger is a potential accusation. Every suffering is a threat to his carefully maintained innocence. He must constantly patrol the borders of his own guilt, constantly remind himself why he is not to blame. This is exhausting. This is a life spent in a kind of low, permanent dread. But the man who opens his arms to it, who says, yes, I am part of this world and this world's suffering is part of me, that man has nothing left to fear. His innocence is not a possession he must guard. He has given it away. And in giving it away, he has received something no philosophy could have given him, the ability to actually be present to another human being, without agenda, without defensiveness, without the war. I wrote this, I believed this, and I tell you truthfully, I did not arrive at this belief through comfort. I arrived at it through Siberia, through the deaths of my children, through epilepsy that took me to the floor without warning or mercy, through debt so crushing I wrote through the night for years simply to eat. I am not a man who theorized suffering from a warm study. I lived in it. And what I found in it, what I found at the very bottom, where there was nothing left to hold on to, was that the only way through is together, that the man who reaches out his hand in the dark, not knowing whose hand he will find, not knowing if anyone is there, that man is performing the highest act of which our broken nature is capable. Every man responsible for everyone and everything, not as a punishment handed down by a stern God, not as a burden designed to crush you, but as the only true answer to the question of how a human being is meant to live. You are not an island. You never were. The sooner you stop pretending otherwise, the sooner you will discover what it actually means to be alive.